All right, well, we are going to go ahead and get started here. Welcome everybody to Empowered 2020. My name is Taylor Williams. I'm the secondary coordinator of digital learning here, and we are just so excited that you're joining us here with Casey Barnes and her session on finding order in the chaos. Casey is an amazing math teacher, 7th grade math teacher from Watauga Middle here in Birdville ISD, and we are so fortunate to have her join us for this session on presenting on finding order in the chaos, something I think that we all are just really trying to grasp at and find here with COVID response and dual learning and that sort of thing. And now I'm just delaying because Casey has had a student come into her classroom and coming to get his phone. So, okay, she's back. She made it back. It's very good. So I'm going to hand it over to Casey. A couple of things though before I do that. If you have questions as Casey's presenting, feel free to put those into the chat, and we'll be keeping track of all those. And then towards the end, I'm going to be posting the attendance form for this session. Fill that out so you can get your certificate for your credit for being a part of this session today. So with that, thank you so much, Casey, for presenting. We really appreciate you, and it's all on you now. Go for it.
Yeah, no pressure. Hi, everybody. So just a little bit more about me, just as why this session is kind of what my first pitch was. I don't know about anybody else, but the first 6 weeks using Canvas was too much. So I've spent the whole second 6 weeks trying to figure out what works, and I've found a really good groove that I really like. I enjoy Canvas now, and I kind of wish I had started using it sooner now. So I know Taylor introduced me, but I went ahead and put this in there. And, you know, always a good time to show off my 2 dogs. I just graduated with my master's in May. I've been a 7th grade teacher for 13 years. I came from a 1-to-1 district, and I was a late Canvas adopter. So if you're also a newbie, this is my first year using Canvas. So I'm right there with you. And I have to have things in order. So I picked just a couple. I do have like time at the end. If you have ideas for things that you're doing that you would want to share with the group, I would love to hear your ideas, because I'll say it at the end, but something that seems like obvious to you might be somebody else's like game changer. So, all right. So the first thing we did, we're split. So we have 7, like all of our math teachers have multiple preps. And one of the things that we struggled with was just trying to keep everything in order. So the first thing that we've always used was a pacing calendar, and it's in a Google Doc, and it's nothing fancy. It's just a table, but it's where we map out our units and we link all of our unit docs that the districts provided. We link those in here so they're easily accessible. And this is where we like pace out, like we have 14 days. So we count out 14 days. We block out the red if the red is tests. So we know like where our tests are falling, make sure we hit 3. We black out no school days. And this is just an overview. And this is like where we start when we plan. We sit down and we piece together just like a bare bones blueprint. And then, so this is how we were planning with Canvas, and it just wasn't working. Because this was too vague. So something that I created, and I really didn't think it was very special until several other people started using it too, was this document. Each day has specific things. So like for math, what we do, we have a warm-up, we have the lesson, we have an assignment, we have a reflection, and then we have to have an intervention piece. And keeping track of all 5 of those things was chaotic. So this is actually a linkable thing. I made an extra one so that everybody can have one. If you want it, I can share the presentation at the end. But yeah, so we split everything up. Everybody kind of has their category where they had strengths. So like I have a little home studio set up at home, so I'm in charge of making the videos for the lesson. Our other 7th grade, she's across the hall, she does the warm-ups and the reflections. Betsy was our interventionist last year, so that's kind of her thing. And we use this as like a checklist throughout the week. So when we finish something, we go in and we mark it out so that the rest of the team knows which pieces are ready and which pieces are still working. That way we know when it's good to transfer everything over. Because until then we were just texting back and forth, I'm done with Monday, are you done with Tuesday? No, I'm still working on Wednesday. And so this way everything is laid out. And it makes it really easy to keep track. We pull this up on half the screen and we keep Canvas in the other half. And that way we can just go back and forth and mark things off. We also bold things that we're grading. So like things that are going to go in the grade book, we bold so that we can keep them the same with kids switching schedules and the kids that are online coming back. So we sat down and said, okay, these are the things that we're going to take for a grade. And we bolded those. And we also still link things just so that they're easy to find. The lesson piece up in the top left links back to the other calendar, so it's kind of a loop. So if we're in the calendar and we need this, we can get there easily and then back and forth. Everything is just, it was trying to make everything very easy to access because we were running around trying to find everything and we needed just one place to find it all. And then, let's see what else. So with all of the stuff that we're using and with making it easy to access, in our sandbox, we created a module that has all of that stuff linked at the top so that like our administrators can find it easily because it's linked at the top. We have a couple co-teachers who aren't able to plan with us as often. And so this way, if they ever have questions, it's in the sandbox class that they have access to. And it links to the pacing calendar. We have a 7th grade Google Drive where we dump all of our resources that we make into so that we can link them on the planning calendar. It's a lot of linking and making sure everything is accessible from multiple places. And then, yeah, so the other thing we did was we tried to make Canvas our hub for everything. So like if we need to find something, we want to be able to get to it from Canvas. So we create links, we created a module so that it's all kept in one central location. So we're not having to go find stuff on all the different things. We've just put it in one place. All right, so I paused here for questions. That was just like the planning, how we kind of streamlined our planning process. If anybody has questions about that. Are we good? Taylor, any questions?
I think we're good right now.
Okay. All right, here's the big one. This was the chunk. And again, I was talking to somebody, I was like, I don't know. This is just what's worked for me and my team, and it's what has saved us. And we do have one teacher who works with all 3 grade levels, and she said that the way we're doing things has helped her a lot. So I thought I would share. So again, Canvas was chaotic. Our first 6 weeks, it felt like a bomb. I was telling Taylor, the first 6 weeks, it felt like a bomb went off, and then we just spent the whole time just trying to piece everything back together. So we spent a lot of time being proactive in the second 6 weeks to make sure we liked what we were doing and could easily move forward and like what we were doing. So this one is our blueprint. It's our template. We sat down as a team and we made our own template of what everything wanted to look like. We even got really detailed. We picked the font choice. We picked how we were going to link things, what we would, what we wouldn't include in each page so that it looked seamless. Because the first 6 weeks, it looked like 4 teachers were all making a piece and piecing it together. And so it didn't seem fluid. So we sat down and made this one so that it would look the same for everybody. So like everybody's font colors are the same. It's very picky. It's very OCD of us, but it looks much better. And then the other thing we did was, the one thing about a template, it can't have a quiz. Because if a template has a quiz, you cannot duplicate that template. And my tip for adding quizzes, so in my honors class, their warm-up is always a quiz. And that's why there's a warm-up missing here, because our warm-ups are usually self-graded quizzes. When you duplicate your 5 days for the week, add all of the quizzes at the same time, because Canvas will remember your settings. So if you like add a quiz to Monday and set all your stuff, and then you go to add a quiz to Tuesday, it remembers some things and it goes a little bit faster if you just like do all the quizzes at the same time. So that's a trial and error thing I've discovered. All right, next thing. So that's our template. The naming of everything. Yeah, so the naming is really specific. The SW.W, this part right here, that's 6 weeks and then which week. So it's we're in 2.5 right now. So second 6 weeks, fifth week, the day of the week. So like today is Tuesday, the month, October, and then the date, 27th. So we try to be really, really specific, because even though a kid is sitting on his computer yesterday, he asked me what the date was. So yeah, we're real specific. And then everything in that date, each day we've made a module so that we can release that day on the day. And it also gives us a little wiggle room if the entire week might not be ready to publish Monday morning. If we can have at least Monday 100%, that gives us a little wiggle room to tweak Tuesday, Wednesday if we need to. But then everything under that day is dated. The first thing is always a date. So here's an example. So we always, the date, month / date, and then what it is, and then where it is. So if we do, like our mini lesson was a review for the test, and this way everything, it makes it really easy for the kids to find what they're missing. So like when they have to go back and backtrack in their modules, the first 6 weeks, we had 20 things named assignment. And then, okay, we had 10 things named assignment percents. Like, that was not helpful. So this way there will only ever be one assignment named 10/28 assignment. It's the only one that exists. It transfers into the gradebook. It transfers into Skyward. If I tell a kid you're missing 10/28 assignment, they can find it in 10 seconds. They know exactly where to go, and it keeps it sorted. I think the naming has made the biggest difference for us, because there is absolutely no guesswork where to find anything for the kids, for the parents. It's really easy for me to say they're missing 10/28 reflection, and there's only one. So I highly recommend it. I know that it says the due date at the bottom, but that doesn't translate to the grade book. So like when I'm looking at my grade book, it doesn't show me the dates. It'll just say, if I didn't have the date there, it would just say reflection, and then I just have a billion reflections again. So the dating was a huge game changer. And then the other thing I've been doing is adding in the prereqs and the requirements for a module. Again, the first 6 weeks, I was completely overwhelmed with how many things I had to check on a daily basis. I think after 2 weeks, I had over 1,000 things that required my attention, and that was not feasible. Like I had a real come to Jesus moment where I was like, I can't do this. I cannot keep up with this. So that's when I set up the prereqs. I love a warm-up. I love the warm-up, but if we're being real in class, I'm not checking their warm-up. I might check Tuesday's warm-up because I really like that one, but I don't need to physically touch every warm-up that they do. So I made the warm-up a prerequisite to get to the lesson, and then I grade the lesson. So if they get to the lesson, I know they did the warm-up. And then if they get to the assignment, I know they did the lesson. And so it holds them accountable for doing the work, even though I may not touch everything. And then the other thing I do is with the warm-ups, I mix it up. Sometimes they have to write. Sometimes it's an auto-graded quiz. And that way I can assess if I need to quickly, and it keeps them on their toes. Is it a grade? Is it not a grade? I don't know. We'll find out. And that way they're more likely to do all of the things because they don't always know like which parts are going to be a grade. And yeah, and then I put an example of what my grade book looks like so that you can see how that dating transfers over and makes everything really easy to find. I think that's it. Oh, the other thing we do, anything that we put, because we don't do everything in Canvas, like we use Canvas quizzes, but we still use ed puzzles, and we use I use Go Formative a lot with my honors kids. We name everything the same as it is in Canvas. So if my kids go to Go Formative for their review, the file on Go Formative is named 10/28 assignment review for a test. So I keep the names the same across any platform. I teach math. We use Holt McDougall, and we can make assignments online. All of their assignments are also dated and named exactly like they are in Canvas, so that they don't have to guess which one goes where. If it's 10/28 in Canvas, it's going to be 10/28 on Go Formative or quizzes or anything else we use. That was another thing because the kids were getting confused what to do when and where. And so we got rid of any kind of, everything is named the same, and that's helped a lot. All right, so the requirements and prereqs, if you don't know how to get there, you click the 3 dots in the top right corner. This is what one of my live modules looks like. So right here, you can see that the prereq to get to today's assignment was to do yesterday's assignment. Did I look at the reflection? No. But if I know that they do the mini lesson, which is an auto-graded activity, if they do the mini lesson, I know they did yesterday's reflection. So that's a way for me to be able to keep pace with them without actually watching what they're doing at every step of the way. All right, let's see what else. I vary the writing task. Okay, so the other thing, to be real honest, because I'll give you the pros and the cons. So we're having, I know everybody feels this pain. We have a lot of kids who are really behind, and requiring them to complete the previous day's work kind of created a snowball for some of my kids where they're 2 weeks behind, and to do today's activity, they would have to do 2 weeks of work ahead of time. So I kind of create moments where they can come up for air. So I kind of link 2 weeks at a time, and then I kind of refresh so that, and I get rid of the requirements after a week so that it's kind of open and they can come up for air a little bit. And like this week, they do not have to do anything to get to, we have a test tomorrow, and we're having issues with kids showing up to take their test. So they can show up tomorrow and take their test, and I'll just be happy that they took their test. They don't have to have done anything this whole year to be able to access that test. So I would recommend building in moments where they can come up for air, because it piles up quickly and it gets overwhelming. Especially, like, I've talked to lots of parents and they're like, so they have to do 20 things so that they can get to today's assignment. I'm like, yeah. So, you know, they're kids and they're going to make bad choices, but give them opportunities for redemption. Wipe it out every now and then. That's my suggestion. And then this is how I set these. I was talking to a friend of mine who teaches at Haltom. And so we were talking about how to set what each assignment actually is required to do, because I'm specific. Again, the first 6 weeks, my kids were all over the place because I didn't have requirements for everything. And so they were doing Tuesday's warm up on Wednesday, and they were doing Monday's warm up on Friday, and they were jumping all over the place. So this creates one streamlined version that they have to go through. And so to get here, you click on, go back, you click on the 3 dots and you click edit. And then the prerequisites, they had to complete yesterday's complete module to be able to access today's module. And then for today's module, for today's module, they had to submit the warm-up, which was a self-graded quiz. They had to turn it in, not just look at it. They had to turn it in. The mini lesson for today was just YouTube links because it was a review. So they only had to look at it. Then the assignment, they had to submit it to get to the reflection. So if I look at today's stuff and somebody has finished the reflection piece, I know that the other 3 pieces were at least turned in. And so instead of looking at 4 things, I only have to really look at 1 thing to see like where my kids are just in progress. Do they submit blank assignments? Absolutely. But I know that they saw the assignment. Like there's no question, like you looked at that assignment, you turned it in blank, but you're not lost. Like I don't have kids that don't know where to go. There's only one place they can go. All right, next thing, module management. When you translate everything over from your sandbox into your actual class, we transfer over our modules. And starting the 6 weeks, we had like a lot of modules, especially if you have like, we have 2 preps. So there's a lot of modules to sort through. One of the things I've started doing to clean that up a little bit is have, I lovingly call it a dumping ground. So everything from first 6 weeks gets moved to a first 6 weeks module and unpublished, so that I put it to the side, it's over, it's done, like get it out of the way. And then I created a second 6 weeks module where things that are old, like stuff from the first week of the 6 weeks, the second week of the 6 weeks, like I put it in there. Things that are kind of expired, I put those in there. And then the current week is broken into days. But once that week is over, I group that into 1 week just to kind of clean up my module page. Our administrators wanted us to put the new work at the top, but then it would break my prereqs because they have to work from top to bottom. And so if I wanted to have them have to do week 1 to get to week 2, I had to keep them in order. So this was kind of our compromise. Like I can clean it up, I can make it look better, I can get rid of some stuff that's on that page without having to break my line of events. So, and then I also made a quiz corrections retake that I had open for a couple weeks. Like they had to pass it to get to the next thing, but they didn't have to do it. It says complete all items, but it wasn't a prereq. And the cool thing about the prereqs, I have trained my kids at this point. So even though they're free and they could technically do it in whatever order they want to, they're still following the line. So like my kids who know like, oh, I have to do this to get to this, to get to this, they don't have to do that today, but they don't even realize it because now they're so used to having to do that they do it on their own. So yay them, yay me, because it makes my life so much easier. And this is what it looks like when I group by the week. So I keep that week, the 2.4, second 6 weeks, 4th week, and then I put the dates there too. And then I do add the headers back in just for my own peace of mind so that I know that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There was 1 week we didn't have school Monday. So that way I can just keep track of that. I don't think that helps the kids at all, but this is more for me to just help me keep things in order. And we also started this way. Our first 6 weeks, we tried to do weeks at a time. So it was one big module that kind of like trickled down, but we all found that a little overwhelming. The kids were pretty overwhelmed by one big module. So that's when we kind of took this big module and we broke it into those days. And that really helped digest the week for the kids, because also they can't see like they can see Tuesday, but they can't see Tuesday. And it gives them like little bite-sized pieces. All right, Sandbox. I did the same thing with Sandbox. This is how you move things. You click on the 3 dots and you click move contents. If you move the module, that's going to move like the whole thing up and down. But if you click move contents, that's how you can shuffle your stuff around. And once you click move contents, it gives you the choice of if you want to put it at the top, if you want to put it at the bottom. So I usually start on Monday and put it at the, like I move Mondays to the week, and then I move Tuesdays to the bottom, Wednesdays to the bottom, Thursdays to the bottom. It is a lot of clicking and moving. It's a lot of clicking and moving, but the end result is so much easier for me to handle. It was too much. It was too much. I needed to consolidate some of my stuff to like find order. I was finding order in the chaos that was my module page.
Hey, Casey.
Yeah.
We do have a question from Kelly. When you dump your old modules, do you move all of the contents and then delete the shell of the module, or do you do something different?
Great question. I delete the shell. So I move all the contents, I dump all the contents into the dumping ground, and then I delete that like the header page so that yeah, it's gone. Yeah. I've talked to a couple of parents. They've said it helps because it cleans up the main page. It's just less to sort through, especially if they're done and like you don't have to scroll through everything anymore. But yeah, and I do it. It's a lot easier if you just make it part of your weekly process. Like when you start your next week, take that week and consolidate. You start the next week. I did all, and it's really not that bad. I did all of our sandbox, which was probably 30 modules. I cleaned it all up this weekend because I was just absolutely sick of, because also when you go to transfer everything over from your sandbox and you click, okay, I want to transfer modules, you have to scroll through that whole list to find the ones that you like, that small little section that you need. And so this way there's there's 6. There's this week and then first 6 weeks, or like second 6 weeks. So like that's it. So that's helped a lot with transferring everything. And then there's questions. So all right, next one. This is where I got really, really picky as a teacher and decided there were certain things I was not willing to sacrifice. I am not hunting down work. I will not do it. I put my foot down. I was like, I'm not doing it. You need to turn it in the right, and I will give you many times. I think first 6 weeks I gave them infinite times, which I don't do that anymore either. Like you have 2 chances to turn in your work correctly, and then we're gonna like, if I have to go in and do extra, like no, I found my boundaries and I put them down hard. So Canvas is where everything is. Period. The end. It doesn't matter what I'm using, where they have to go. Everything I need to know about their grade, their performance, if they did it, if they didn't do it, everything is Canvas, because then that makes it one central location for me to look. It's one central location for the parents to look. I basically use Canvas like their portfolio. So like, yes, we're using quizzes, and yes, we're using our ed puzzles, and yes, we're using our Holt McDougall site, but they're creating a portfolio inside of Canvas of the evidence. That's what I call it. We call it the evidence of their work completion. And so this is what that kind of looks like. So this is one of our assignments we use. Our textbook website has amazing sources. It's Holt McDougall. You can create, it gives you really great reports. And so the name of the assignment has the date/name, and it's kind of blurry, but you can, this was before we honed it in a little bit more, but it does say Thursday, October 1st, test review. So I tried to, that's an old file. Never mind. Yeah, that's an old file. So the new one would say 10/13 assignment application of percents Holt McDougall. Even though it's on Holt McDougall, I still title the assignment Holt McDougall. Just take out the guesswork. And I tell the kids, I try to give them an example of what I need back from them. So I cropped out the name, but this is what I want. This is what I want from them. And I won't accept anything else. Now that's with my honors kids. With my on-level kids, sometimes I'm just happy that I don't care if it's a screenshot of your grade. I prefer this report, but there are a couple kids right now that I'm just picking and choosing my battles. And if you're going to screenshot your homepage, that's awesome. I'll take it right now. Like I'm working with some of them. Like you're training your kids, and some of them get it really fast, and some of them I'll take what I can get right now, but I do try to give them an example of the report I need, and everything is a screenshot. I probably spent 4 weeks Zoom calls, texting kids. How do you take a screenshot? How do you take a screenshot? How do you upload your screenshot? And I worked probably for 4 weeks nitpicking all of the kids until I got what I wanted. And now my grading is a breeze. It's amazing. I can grade an entire week's worth of work. Like, I don't have thousands of things to grade anymore. I think I have like 100, and it's only because they're like writing reflections that I like need time to sit down and really, really read. But yeah, I can blow through so much grading so much faster. And we call it evidence. So when the kids want to say, I'm done, I said, okay, I need the evidence of you being done uploaded into the correct assignment so that I can see it in that spot. And I also, like, my mom let me use her as a get out of jail. Like, I could always blame my mom for something when I was a teenager. I blame Canvas for a lot of things. Like, if the kids want to, why do we have to blah, blah, blah? I'm like, oh, Canvas is just really picky about how it wants you to do your work. It won't let me take your work through the inbox. You have to put it in the assignment page. And they don't know, so I can say whatever I want. But yeah, I blame Canvas. I could take work through the inbox, but again, I decided early on, I don't do it. I don't take work through the inbox. You cannot email me your work. Your work has to be attached to the assignment. And the other thing I did was, most of my daily grades, they can take more than once. I mean, things are online. Everything has like a retake option. And then they get 2 chances to upload the report into Canvas. And they get 2 chances. And usually the first one is, so they can upload their first one, and then if they have time, they can go do it again and upload a second one. I get blank ones, and I tell them, like, you can submit it blank, but that counts as one of your chances. And there's a few here and there that I'll make exceptions for when you get an email or something. But yeah, I give them 2 chances to figure it out, and then we move on. And I take so many grades because everything feels like a grade. I drop a ton of grades at the end. So if they mess up one, it's not going to kill them. Even with aware testing, I don't sit here and try to figure out what that grade is. But I still have them submit the evidence so that I know. It's kind of like a checklist for me, like, okay, this person is done. And so then, like, once I see a lot of these screenshots, then I go into EdUphoria and start transferring those grades over into, and I still put everything in Canvas. Like, we have a test assignment, it's a test grade. I transfer from EdUphoria to Canvas, and then I do the grade sync through Canvas. So again, everything's in Canvas because I could not keep track. If you have online classes, if y'all's are anything like ours, I have 19 courses to keep track of. I could not keep track of all the grades and where they went and who had done what. So if I can get everything in Canvas, also Canvas sends me little notifications when somebody does something. So it makes it easy for me to grade it. If somebody does late work, it's easy to find it. And then I just grade sync and it goes into Skyward. I don't have to go hunt and peck anymore. And I'm so happy that grade sync is working. Taylor has heard all of my woes with grade sync. And I'm a big proponent. If yours isn't working, talk to somebody and figure out what's wrong, because it has saved. I cried the first time I got that green check mark because it saved me hours, and my life is so much better now. It's so much better. So I've used this phrase file 13 a couple times this week, and nobody knows what I'm talking about. When you throw away an assignment, am I the only one that, like, those assignments go missing because you just, like, it's just not going to make the cut for the gradebook for whatever reason? I figured out a way to file 13 stuff in Canvas. This was an assignment. It was supposed to be a grade. We had great intentions that it was going to be a grade. On the day of, it didn't work. and it was still on my grade book, and it was still telling the kids they needed, and I was like, I need it to go away. But you can't delete something once a kid has done it. But what you can do is change it to a not graded assignment. And then it just kind of, it goes into its little folder, and it goes into its file 13, and you don't have to grade it anymore. So if you ever have those assignments where like, this is just not working, like it fell apart, you needed to like a reteach, like the kids started doing it and it just fell apart. Everybody's had those. Change it from a graded to a not graded, and that's the display grade as not graded. So anything that's in my grade book on Canvas is actually a grade. I get rid of anything that's not going to go, like my warm-ups are not graded. And sometimes there's something where I'm like, I want them to think it's a grade, but it's probably not going to be a grade. So on Monday, it might be a graded assignment. And then on Tuesday, I can go in and change it to a not graded assignment after they've done it. And they have the memory of the goldfish, so they don't remember, and it just disappears. And they're like, oh, okay, and we just keep going. So I know that seeing if something's graded or not is a big motivator for some kids. And if they see that it's not graded, they're less likely to try real hard. So you can always go back and change it from a graded assignment to not graded. That was my big aha moment this week, was file 13ing that assignment that fell apart last week. So this is an app, and this is just big shout out to Colleen Zitzman. I will give her credit. At first, I was like, oh, it's not very pretty. It's kind of ugly, but oh man, if nothing else, when you are in SpeedGrader and you have this Canvas extension downloaded, so like I have my reports, I have my evidence, and it has the grade on the evidence. I can now type the grade and hit enter, and it goes to the next assignment. You don't have to click next. You don't have to, so like what I would have to click in the box, type the grade. If I had a comment, I'd have to type that, and then you have to go click next, kid. The Canvas Betterizer for Chrome, when you're typing in your grades, like when you're in your SpeedGrader, type the grade, hit enter, goes to the next assignment. Type the grade, hit enter, it goes to the next one. It's like being in Skyward, where you can just, oh, again, saved me. It's crazy how much just two less clicks, and it's amazing. It also, you can preload 5 comments, and it'll store those when you're in your SpeedGrader. So the only one that I have that's really consistent right now is this blank or is the file not loading? We both know the answer to that question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. It's blank. I know it's blank. They know it's blank, but that's just kind of like my peace offering. Like, hey, I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt that the file you uploaded is not working. And then what that does is, and I did not. So when you're in your SpeedGrader where your comments are, it puts a drop-down menu so that you can just click on which comment you want to use, and it loads it into the thing, and you can hit enter, and it goes to the next assignment. There are also other Canvas apps, like Canvas extensions out there. This one's the one I found so far that like I use a lot. It's made the biggest difference, but there are other ones out there that you might go to the App Store, go to the Chrome store, search for some Canvas stuff. You might find some gold. There was one, I just wasn't crazy about it. It kind of messed things up, so I deleted it. But that is all I have. So if anybody has any questions, or if you have something that you would like to share, I would love to hear if you have something that's working for you that has made your life easier the past 6 weeks.
Casey, I'm curious if you would talk about just the discussion that went on with your team about your organizing of your numbers, like doing, second 6 weeks, and then, two, that organization. How many different iterations did you go through to get to where you chose what the organization was?
So you've met us. It was one. It was one. We spent one whole PLC. Like we spent probably an hour on that blueprint, and we went through, I know it was more than an hour. it was a long time. We spent a couple hours like going through that blueprint with a fine-tooth comb and making sure we loved whatever was going to come out of that. There's even a comma that's missing purposefully from the title, even though it's grammatically incorrect. We didn't like how it looked. And I used to teach English, but yeah, we got rid of the comma just because we didn't like it. And it's we wanted it to be able to sort easily. We wanted it to work all year. We also, the grading, we have experience like through the AWARE testing, how you have to name your tests, how like it's the 045 and then the 1020 and how like that sorts things. So we had experience with that and like what we wanted and what we needed. And this was, oh, and also, let me see if I'm gonna scroll back real quick, because our planning document also has things sorted by the dates too, so that when we have them up, there it is. So like the 2-1, the 2-2, so that when we're making our modules, we have that reference point just right there. So it's like one less thing that we have to think about. But yeah, I wish I could say that we like brainstormed a whole lot of ideas, but we got real picky real fast. Also, we had a whole we learned a lot the first 2 weeks of the year, like what we liked, what we didn't like, and maybe it was the first 3 weeks, because it was once we were back on campus that we were like, no, like we have to change something for this to work. Any other questions? I would really love tips. I've learned through the years that things that seem commonplace to me may not be commonplace to everybody. So even if you have something small, or you know somebody who does something small, anything that can make our lives easier right now would be hugely welcome.
I have a quick question about the planning document that you have it on there right now. Did you
Yeah.
say that that planning document is it linked in Canvas? Do the kids have access to it or?
No, the kids do not have access to it.
Okay.
But we put it in our, we put it in our Canvas sandbox.
Okay.
So I can, let me see if I can. So like, I don't know, can y'all see my Chrome? I hate when people ask that question, but I'm gonna ask that question. Okay.
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is like, I have everything bookmarked at the top. If we go to, let me go pull up my Canvas and we can look at the sandbox. Cause yeah, we have it in our sandbox, but the kids don't have access to it. I don't know that there's anything on there that would make a difference if they did have access to it. I just don't know that they would find it beneficial. So here's our sandbox. And so there's our resources. And this is where we just dump it's where we keep a copy of our TEKS. This is how do we get to our Google Drive that has like all of we have folder after folder in there. The pacing calendar that we use. And again, it's just to try to make everything as easily accessible as possible when we're planning, because we learned how to maximize our time quickly, because we only get to meet twice a week as a team. As a 7th grade team, we only get to meet twice a week. So we had to streamline that process really fast for us to actually get anything done. And the planning document, it's really helpful because, again, we all have our own pieces. And so we can decide during PLC who's doing what. And then the actual creation of that can happen not in PLC. So when we're together as a team, we're planning and assigning things. And then we do the grunt work, not during PLC, because we don't need to be sitting in the same room to, I don't know, make an ed puzzle. Like I can make my ed puzzles not in front of everybody. So we maximize that time to try to get as much planning done as we can. And also the assignment piece, we don't have that necessarily assigned because we try to collaborate across all pieces together. So we know what each piece is going to be, but the actual making of the page is assigned to somebody specific. And the other thing, I don't know if other campuses, they wanted all the teachers to be on video. So that was another way we could say, okay, so Nikki, she does the warm-ups, she's on video, you can see her face. I do the ed puzzles, I'm on video, you can see my face. So we really are, it is an absolute team effort. We all have to pitch in.
Well, I just want to say I really like the prereq for the warm-ups, because I have a warm-up every day because of, you know, the online attendance and all of that. And that is, even though it's like really quick on grading, it's time consuming. And so I'm implementing that next week. So
it will save you. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It is. It's fast, but it's like one less thing you'll have to worry about.
You know, I do have another question too. I have a I teach Avid and CTE courses, and so I just wanted to do something different with them, because most of the time I have them writing a 5-sentence paragraph on a that answers in response to a quote. But one day I did a story starter exercise where you start with one sentence, and then and they write a paragraph, and then the next day they came back and they picked something that somebody had wrote and they added to the story. And so it was pretty cool actually, but I noticed that when I went back and looked at it, it really only showed
what they had done.
Yeah, it doesn't show a continuous story. So is there a way to make that happen?
I know how I do that. Taylor might be able to have better pointers, but if you go to the actual reflection page, you can read the whole piece as it was presented. Like, so you can read the whole, who wrote the first part, second part, third part.
Okay.
But I don't know if that translates to the speed grader. So if you wanted to assess that, it might be easier to like have like a check sheet. So like, okay, check, they did this. But yeah, if you go to the actual reflection page, you can read it as it was written.
Okay. And so like if student A replied to student B, their two stories will be together?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I just think it's always interesting. It's really a neat read when they bring those different stories together. But
I did one where, and I encountered the same thing. One of my reflections was they were supposed to kind of critique each other's add on to the thinking. And so I would when I did the speed grader, it would show me that they would say, I agree with you on this, but I feel like you should have done this. And I'm like, who's he talking? I was like, who'd he talk to? I don't know what he's responding to.
So
yeah.
And so then to that end, I was thinking of having them put in a profile picture or something that lets me know who they are. Because right now
I did that.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. Was that easier?
Yes.
Okay.
I made a little Loom video. If you want to email me, I can send it to you.
Absolutely.
How they change their profile picture, because with my online kids, like, I mean, it sounds terrible, but when you have 160 kids, I was like, you're just a name, especially when I'm grading so much. I was like, but if I can see your face.
Yes.
Like even, and now some of them, they still have cartoons, but to me, they're that cartoon now. So I need them not to change that cartoon.
Right. Yeah. So at least I know who the heck they
you're
are.
Bart Simpson, and you're gonna be Bart Simpson all year. Period. The end. But yeah, definitely, I highly recommend having them change their profile pictures, because it adds that human. It adds
element. Yeah.
To it.
Yeah.
That was one of my first things we did, and I stole that from my college professor, because he had us do that.
Okay.
And I realized like how much I relied on that when I was doing discussion posts. Like I would see pictures and I was like, oh, I remember she wrote that thing.
Yeah. And it doesn't really matter that they're teeny weeny small, but you just, it's
something,
like
anything. Yeah, it helps. And even when they come back to class, I have at least some kind, like I recognized one kid, I'd never met him before. And I was like, oh, hey, you're Theo. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, I recognize you from a picture.
Yeah. Well, I haven't done Loom yet, but I've certainly used Studio a ton of times, and it really makes it nice, you know, when the kids are not understanding something, I can video what I'm talking about on screen and just plop it in there, and it makes it
Yes,
nice. Okay,
it
well,
helps.
thank you. Mhm.
You're welcome. I'm glad I was able to share something that's going to make your life easier.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you. We appreciate you.
All right. Well, thank you, Casey, for an awesome presentation on this. So just again, I have posted the attendance form in the chat if you would fill that out so that you can get your credit for being a part of this session. This session is also being recorded. Obviously, you might, if you want to come back and watch it again, it's going to be up on the website on Friday afternoon. And if you do have any questions or anything like that, you can always connect back through the empowered@birdvilleschools.net, or reach out if you're a Birdville employee to your digital learning specialist. And we're just so thankful that you all are here being a part of this. Don't forget about sessions that are going to be tomorrow at the same time. If you want to come back and see Casey again, she's going to be presenting again, Paper for a Paperless World. But then we have 8 other sessions as well over a variety of strategies and tools. So thank you all for today's event. Thank you, Casey. And we will see you all tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.